Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Voice of the Voices. I'm Elsa Young, and today I have with me
Carrie Keranen.
How are you doing today, Carrie?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Doing great.
Good.
So we have a few questions here for you about some shows you've worked on.
I imagine you would.
First question though is, what is it like working in industry today?
Today as in today, or today as in like not 10 years ago?
Whatever you want. You can talk about 10 years ago. That's fine.
No, I think it's like awesome. A part of it is I feel like I've definitely grown, so what I'm able to bring to the table and the variety of roles that I can do now is much wider than when I first started and was kind of just figuring things out. But I just really love I just also love the quality of the shows these days. I feel like there's a shift in industry over like quality over quantity versus quantity over quality, and so get it. So there's it's just been great, and I think that I've always really been blessed though by working with like great other actors, and first I started in New York and I love all of them, but then 4 years ago I moved to LA, and now I've been able to like meet all the LA crew and stuff, and I just feel like the voice actors specifically as like a subsect of actors are just like awesome. They're like just great people, and I feel like there's not as much competition necessarily the same way, because you're only competing with like your interpretations, like your choices, right? Like there's things about your voice that you can or cannot do, like that's just like a limited thing. But then you're just competing on like your character choices versus like at commercial auditions or theatrical auditions where it's like, oh, her boobs are bigger than mine, and I wish I was that tall, and you know what I mean? Like like there's a lot of stuff that doesn't like get in there, and so it's just like I love being a part of this community.
Another thing you've worked on, Berserk, which was a series you worked on a while back.
Yes.
Just recently the movies.
Yes.
What was it like working on that show since you hadn't worked on it?
That was an incredible experience, because Berserk was actually my very first anime. It was my first job, and so I literally was learning like what this whole thing was during that show, and like literally like learning on the job like how to even do the memorize the line and look up and time it, all that kind of stuff, all that from a technical point of view, and that show is just so special to me, and I have like really long-standing relationships with both Mark DeRazan, who plays Guts, who's still Guts in my phone, like all of his information in my life says Guts. People are like, where's Mark's number? I'm like, oh, it's Guts. And then Michael Cinder Nicholas, who I then ended up working for him for his company, and we have been friends for like over 10 years. So that show was just super, super special. And then to be able to revisit it 10 years later, because everyone's always like, oh, are they going to continue it? They're going to continue it? And I was like, I wish, but there's always sound. Like, maybe they will, maybe a video game, maybe this, maybe that. And then when they said, like, it's coming back, and I was like, yeah, no, everyone always says it's coming back. They're like, no, it's coming back. I was like, yeah, no, everyone, they're like, no, Carrie, it's coming back. Like, it's done. It's done in Japan. Like, we've got the license, like, we're doing it. I was like, I literally cried. I was like, are you kidding me? So to revisit it,
come back around full circle.
Yeah, and to be able to just hear everyone, and to be able to hear everyone, and I feel like I was able to really see the growth that I've had, and then listening to Mark and just everyone, it was just amazing to be able to kind of revisit that and do it all over again, and they got like everybody back that they could, like Soldier A, and like literally they tried to get back as many people as they could, and it was just awesome to be a part of that and like be back in those rooms. And it was weird because I recorded it in LA instead of New York, but I recorded it with Michael, and it was really, really special, and I was really happy that the fans seemed to really like it, and they seemed to be excited that we were back. So
another show
you're welcome.
Some people might have heard of, Kill la Kill.
I haven't heard of that show. Kill la Kill, interesting. Yeah. No, honestly, it's such a fast turnaround, right? From like it coming out in Japan to then like all of a sudden like the English. I was like, but that just came out, Right. But it was a little bit nerve-wracking. When I first auditioned for it, I didn't know what it was for, and then when I came in for the callback, I was like, oh, wait a second. And then when I booked it, I was like shocked. I was just totally shocked. And he was like, watch the series. Like, make sure you watch this one. And I'd only watched like the first 7 episodes by my first recording, and I was like, oh my gosh. It was so hard. I had to watch to like episode 16 to then understand what was happening in episode 1. So that show was just like a juggernaut, and it's amazing to be a part of it. And it was so well loved that we really worked really hard in the recordings. We really wanted to make it good for the fans, and it's just been incredible to have the fans respond the way they have, and really enjoy it, and really embrace it, and really embrace like our characters. And when it first was coming out, I was getting a bunch of like tweets from people like, "Oh, Lee Sutsky, I love it. You're awesome. You're so like, you know, and it really meant a lot to me. It was like it was like a real relief, like, woo, okay, no problem. They're not gonna like kill us or whatever. But being part of that show is super fun, like super fun.
Your character's awesome.
My character's awesome. And I also find that like when I've been to like 2 conventions now since it came out, and I don't really usually do conventions because it doesn't really work for my schedule. But I'm trying to sort of do it more now because I really do want to have an opportunity to like give back to the fans and meet them and stuff. And I find that like I end up just like, if you are cosplaying a character from any of the shows I'm in, I will just like go up to you and start talking. I'll be, oh hey, I was in the game room and I was like, oh Iori, how's it going? Iori, and he's looking at me. I'm like, Iori, right? And he was like, yeah. But I realized that like I'm starting to realize that I'm the crazy one because I'm just this random person walking up to them and just starting to talk to them as their character. You know what I mean? And they're like, hey, and I was like, oh, sorry, I was like, oh, I do Satsuki. And I was like, and they're like, oh, wait, what? And like a year ago, I did a thing called mommy bombing. When I had breaks between panels, I would just go into the dealer's room and I would find people dressed up as mommy, and be like, hey, just start like talking to them, and then be like, oh, I do her voice, and then like, and they kind of would freak out, and then I'd be like, can I sign your gun? Like, so it's fun for me to interact with the fans that way. In fact, just now on the elevator, I got on the elevator and I was like, your guts, right? There's a guy dressed as Guts. I was like, your guts, right? He's like, yeah. I go, I'm Casca, and he was like, I go, no, I do the voice of Casca. I'm Casca. And he's like, oh, whoa, wait, what? What? And so it's just really exciting for me to see people who love the shows that I was a part of to then be like, oh my gosh, hi, and like interact with them and stuff. And they always seem really, really happy. And we take pictures, and I take pictures. I was like, can I get a picture with you? He was like, yes. Can I take a picture too? I was like, yeah, of course. Yeah. So what was the question? Am I answering the question? Did I? Okay, and then I answered it, and then I just started talking about other things. Okay, perfect.
Nothing wrong with that.
This interview is going awesome.
It is. So another show you worked on, Magi, which
my character, I call her clamshells because she's just got the clamshells, right? And of course, there's all these jokes about at first with her boob, he jumps up in her boobs and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So I call her clamshells, and then yesterday, I was like, oh, I'm in that, and they're like, who do you play? And I was like, clamshells. I could not remember my character. I was like, clamshell. Then I asked Matt Mercer, who plays Sinbad, I was like, do you know my character's name? Because I just call her clamshells. Then at our signing, someone came up with a scroll from it. I was like, oh, you know the show. He's like, yeah. I go, okay, I play, and I forget her name because I just call her clamshells all the time. What is her name? And he was like, but because I had said that, then he couldn't remember. So then 20 minutes later, he comes back, he's like, Yamaraha. And I was like, oh yeah, that's the name. So, but that show is just like, I mean, that show is just nutty. It's nutty and it's fun and it's weird. And whenever we do it, like we'll do a pass, right? And then he'll be like, all right, get one for safety or whatever. And then I always just do something like just weird on the second take and stuff. So it's really fun to just like play with that. And I love how she like just like fights with the baldy head, who's not bald, but he's bald. I was like, I'm not bald. I'm like, you're bald? Are you crazy? Like, that's not even a good comeback. Have you seen the animation? You're bald. But anyway, so it's just like, I love it because it has like the kind of mentorship characters that I play a lot. Plus it has like that like banter that I really enjoy. So it's like a really just a fun like balance of those two things.
you also worked on Quella Magi, Madoka Magica.
Yes, I did.
What was it like working on that?
That was amazing. Actually, I joined really late onto that. So I literally found out that I was doing it. I got the call back. I got the call in to audition for her, and then like booked it and started recording immediately. So I didn't know anything. I didn't read anything. I didn't know anything about that show. And but I remember when I came in, the first thing that struck me was really the artwork. I was like, whoa, because I thought like a magical girl show, you know. But then I'm watching this like art, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then like the soundtrack is like not what, like everything wasn't what I expected, you know. So I was like, oh wow, what is this? And they were going for a very like cinematic feel, which I really enjoyed. And then I didn't know what was going to happen to my character ultimately, you know. And I went in that day. They're like, hey, Carrie, how's it going? I'm like, good. I'm like, why is everything so weird today, right? And then we're doing the thing. We're doing it. Next thing, you know, I'm like to Maruka, and then they like play it forward a little. They're like, oh no, show her, play it forward. And I watch, and I was like, wait a minute, did I just die? What happened? Wait, what? Is that for real? Like I didn't expect it, you know. Right. And it was actually in that moment that I was like, oh, this show is something. something different. It's something else because you don't really see those kinds of stakes,
Right.
and you go, oh, this is a hero's journey because she has to lose. In any hero's journey, they have to lose their mentor. And I was like, wow. And that's so it was when I got killed off the show that I really started to understand like how
Right.
special it was. And it's also like people seem to just really love that character, and that means a lot to me because we worked really hard on her, and she was actually kind of a little bit hard for me to like find and do, and because she's very nurturing, but it's also like she's talking about very serious things, so she can't just be encouraging,
Right.
because she's like, hey, yes, this is what's happening, but it's dangerous.
Being realistic.
This is a serious
Yeah.
choice. Like, yes, you get to, yes, but, and always like kind of walking that line of, but without it coming off like, hey, this is serious, so it's a very fine line to walk of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to help guide you, I'm going to help mentor you, but I'm not going to pull any punches about kind of what it all means
Right.
and what it will ultimately cost you. So it was a really interesting balance, and I know that we really went like, they were very careful line by line, really just like making sure everything, and they'd be like, let's reference the Japanese, and just really trying to like keep the tone, like right in the pocket. And so that was quite an ordeal. So it's just, that one is especially gratifying that the fans really love it, because that was like a lot of blood, sweat, and tears on that one.
Another show that you worked on, an older one,
Yeah.
Cutie Honey, the live action.
Oh my god!
What was it like
Honey
working on that?
Flash! Oh
Also
my god!
considering that it's live action, not animation.
I know. I actually really love doing live action. I love it. It's just like a little more subtle. Though she had like she had a lip thing that she would do all the time, and I was like, oh, that lip! How do you justify that lip without kind of like sounding kind of cute
Right.
or whatever? You know what I mean? So there were moments where I'm like, oh, that lip! Look at that lip go! But I loved her. I loved her because she's this like amazing, powerful being, but she's like 2 weeks old or something, So it was always it was so interesting. And that one we always were talking about this idea that she's so powerful, but she is like innocent, but she's not dumb. You know what I mean? That that she's not dumb about anything. So she got to be like really like find that really like sincere, fun place. But she was especially fun for me to play at that time because like at the beginning, like I was all war, I was all like, ah! So like that stuff, like the elevator fight with Blue Claw was like no problem, but the bathtub scene was just like, oh, uncle, it took forever, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so it was interesting. I had to really kind of like tap into like my softer side, and then Michael Cinder Nicholas was directing me, and he was like, just like be goofy, like he's like, Carrie, this is you, like just be goofy and be weird like you're weird, and I was like, okay, and I think it was the first time that I was like, oh, so my like just like nutty weirdness is like okay, because I feel like when I started off, you feel like you're gonna like behave, like,
Yeah.
I gotta get this right, or I
Yeah,
gotta, you know what I mean, or but I was like, okay, let's be like silly and fun, and it was just fun, and I just love the art direction. I love this whole song with Black Claw, and I mean, it's just, I love that cast. That was nutty, but super fun to work on.
Now, the numerous things you've worked on, is there a particular favorite show that you've worked on? And if you can't take a favorite, is there a couple?
It's funny because actually you mentioned a lot of my like the shows
Right.
that really mean a lot to me, and it's so funny this idea of like favorite. What's my favorite? And I feel like things are my favorites for different reasons. Like Casca is really special to me because she was my first. And Mommy was really special to me because of that show and that experience. And Satsuki is really special because she was so hard, and I thought I was going to get fired after the second one. And I've really been like, me personally, I've really stepped into a place of like of finding that like leadership in me, and so I feel like that's like every role has like a little bit of that. Like Mokuba was my first boy, you know what I mean? Like, so it's just they're all like special in that way in terms of being able to mark milestones in your own growth as an actor. So it's hard to be like, oh, it's one favorite, but I will like, now that being said, I will say that the one show that I did, and I don't see as much of it. Some people have brought in
Right.
stuff for me to sign, but the one show that I did that is just 100% like the closest to who I am as a person, and like was just a joy from top to bottom to record for me was Goku-sen.
Oh yeah, I had you send that.
And you
Yeah.
have it. And that show was effortless. I mean, from the moment, and it was the one show that from the moment I went to the audition, I looked at the sides, and they played me the scene. I was like, this is mine. Like, I just knew, like, I was like, this is no doubt. Like, and when I got the call, but I was like, yeah, of course. Like, I just knew it. Like, that was mine, and it was It was a blast. It was a blast. Like effortless, like easy, effortless. Like she was. I understood everything about that woman from from the word go. You know.
Right.
So that was like personally just blissful.
Now, if you could be any of the characters you've played in anime or any other things you've worked on, and be them in real life for a day or whatever numerous amount of time you like, who would it be? And feel free to mix and match different characteristics, multiple characters.
Okay. You can create like a double-headed monster of people.
Anime super soldier, I guess.
Super soldier. To be honest, I feel like, my first instinct is really, and I wonder if it's just because I'm currently working on her, my first instinct is Satsuki Kirin, because I feel like I would love to see my life from her point of view, because she has such like a long game thinking, and such in integrity and such like strategy, that I would love to be her for a day, to like look at my life and be like, these are the answers. You go this way. This is what you do. That like I feel like if I could just be her for one day, so she could just like lay out my life for me, like be like, this is the direction.
Yeah.
Then I'd be like, I'd be so grateful.
Right. Now, is there anything that you've worked on recently or that has recently come out that you'd like to talk about or plug? I know you mentioned Carrie Keranen.
Yeah. So really, it's a Kill a Kill, and I think that's the one that's really come out recently. I know.
We understand.
Yeah. So, but I actually got a chance to work. I was pretty excited because I had a chance to work on Naruto last year, and I was really excited that I finally got a chance to work at that show. And I also got to do. Well, the show's announced, so.
It's fine. Let's just not say it just in case.
Okay.
You never know.
Just in case. Sailor Moon, but take it out if it's not good. Okay. Or nothing. So that was super fun to be able to be a part of those projects, and then the web series I did that was a spinoff from Community for Inspector Spacetime. We did the first web series, the first season, and then they decided instead of doing a second season, we're doing a feature. So they've already got the seed money and the script, and they've cast most of the like main roles, and with like great people like Robert Picardo and Chase Masterson and all these like sci-fi people, and now we're moving into production for that, so that's really exciting. We're going to be shooting it probably end of the year, beginning of next year, so I'm really looking forward to that. Even though my character died, but apparently something happens and I'm in the movie, so I don't know how that works. I deliberately haven't read the script yet, so A, I can't say anything that I'm not supposed to say, and B, because I want to be surprised.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Okay. And lastly, is there any way fans can follow you on any social media?
Yeah. Well, I'm on Twitter. If people tag me on it, I try as best I can to respond to them. So, but I'm not just like on there like looking at things. I don't like hang out on Twitter. But it's also I'm new to it. So if you are like, hey, here's the things that we feel would be interesting, then like I'm totally open to suggestions for like how fans would like interaction to happen. I'm totally open to that. I do have a Facebook page, but I keep it mostly to people that I actually know and work with in LA. And then I have a website, and anyone can email me through my website. That's another way. Okay. So, but even if we're not Facebook friends, like you can send me a message.
Right.
I get that. I'm a open public. I'm not like hidden or anything like that.
Right.
So I'm not that hard to find. Plus, with my name, if you spell it right, you can find me because I'm the like. There's no one else out there. Yeah. So it's really easy. It's not like John Doe,
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
Awesome.
So yeah, thank you so much. All right. Bye. Thanks for watching.
Rodeo Ohio, guys. I'm Ansel.
I'm Carrie.
Well, see you next time.